Good afternoon, participants. I welcome you all again for the session 2 of our FDP on redefining technologies through AI, LMS, and digital pedagogies. For our session 2, we have Dr. Pavani. She is an educational leader, scientist, and Fulbright Fellow. Recently graduated from Harvard University with a master's in education, leadership, organizations, and entrepreneurship with specialization in higher education. A recipient of Harvard Innovation Lab's Spark grant for her Pavani and team idea on reimaging faculty development in India. With a PhD in animal sciences, Dr. Pavani transitions from research to education policy and has led large-scale academic reforms as officers on special duty in the government of Telangana, impacting over 1.5 million first-generation learners. So, on the behalf of organizing committee and all participants, I extend a very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Uh, I welcome you to share your insight, and we look forward to your talk and to learning from your rich experience in innovative work. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, whoever the host is, because I can't see your name here. But thank you for the kind introduction, and I'm actually excited about today's talk. I don't know the format and the other details of this FDP, but I was hoping if I could interact with the participants, it would be more fun. Because who likes a boring lecture, right? One hour lecture, and that too after a lunchtime. So I hope I won't put you all to sleep, and I'll be able to engage you all through my presentation. And let me just share my screen. Yeah. Can someone confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay, cool. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the session. And before I start with the talk, I would like to take a moment to thank the organizers for the opportunity uh, to me to present whatever I learned from my experience so far, because uh, uh, with an audience like you. And from my introduction, you might have noticed that, if some of you are wondering already, if not, if that means you have not listened to my intro. So if you're wondering what is this woman doing here, because I am suspecting or assuming that most of you are from computer science background or engineering background, and most of you are faculty in engineering or programming, computing, and all that. And if you have actually listened what the organizer was saying, you can't find, or you there was no such keyword in my intro. Like, my background is in sciences, but it is animal sciences. I am a trained immunologist, and education policy, education leadership, higher education, so many other words, but not computing, computation, software programming, technology, AI, and all that fancy stuff that you have been talking about in this training or the webinar so far. So if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I have a purpose, I have a reason. Because come on, who wants to be at a place where they're not invited, or what they speak don't make sense to the audience, right? So I know why I'm here. But and I hope that by the end of the talk you will also feel that, okay, this woman has a purpose, and she didn't just come like that, and this was in fact a related or more relevant topic for whatever discussion or the theme of the webinar is. So getting into today's talk, the title is very generic. If you see, I don't have again a very academic title like the impact of so and so and so and so on. Standardization, modulation, and all that typical academic words. It's very simple: the ride versus the destination, and that is what I want you to remember. Because as teachers, especially if you're working in programming or mathematics, any core sciences, STEM areas, and if not even in humanities, our job is to make complex things simple, right? As simple as possible, so that the students can understand us. Though here I'm not a faculty and you're not a student, I'm speaking, and to make sure that whatever I'm speaking reaches to you, I wanted to make everything very simple in a digestible format and not using too much jargon. But trust me, it's not as simple as it looks. You know more than anybody as educators that teaching, education are really, really complex systems. And no matter how much we try to simplify it, there is still complexity. And here, the simplification is not to do injustice to the system as well and its complexity, but to make the discussion a more digestible and more in a uh, agree understandable format. Okay, so what is this about? Now, a little bit of jargon for you here. This is a pedagogical compass for redefining learning. Now, throughout this webinar or so far, and then in the upcoming days, you will be talking about so many technologies. It could be AI or other technologies that are redefining teaching and learning. But like, where I'm assuming that in those sessions where you're diving deep into the technical aspects of it, I wanted to give you a pedagogical compass today for what redefining learning actually means from an educator standpoint. So, yeah. Now, as my title says, let's first talk about the ride. Okay, what is the ride here? What are we talking about? And I must say that the ride is definitely breathtaking. Okay, and whatever excitement we have, in fact, having this whole webinar for so many days designed around the concept or the idea topic of technology in education is very much justified. Okay, so there is no doubt that whatever the ride that we are on currently is super, it's amazing, breathtaking, and the excitement and the hype around it, I wouldn't call hype, but the excitement around it is definitely justified. So let me give you a couple of examples. Okay, why this excitement is real. Okay, and it's not just hype. Here I want to take this with a pinch of salt, because there is also so much hype associated with whatever learning technologies that we are talking about. But right now, let's talk about the reality for a moment. Okay, so this is the latest report. I don't know how many of you have had the chance to do it, but it has been quite popular and running around in all the social media networks and everywhere in the news. Last month, it's published last month in September 2025, or I should say a couple of months ago, now that we are in November. So a working paper by David Deming and his colleagues. He is the Dean of Harvard College right now. So, and he's also one of the faculty members as Project on Workforce at Harvard, where I also got to work as a student intern. So they published the report on how people actually use ChatGPT. And then in that, they found out that more than 10.2% of the ChatGPT use cases revolve around education or things in education, things related to education. Though 28% of it, is the number that they reported that people use ChatGPT for tutoring or writing or some other reasons. But to out of that 28%, 10.2% is what people use ChatGPT for education and education related functions or purposes. Now, this is real. Okay, this is real. And imagine ChatGPT has globally millions of users. It has crossed 100 million users. So 10.2% is a huge number. And I need not give you this paper, right? If you go to your classroom, if you are in your family, you see that at least one in two people or one in three people, the numbers are might be I might be wrong, but you see that people are using ChatGPT for different reasons, or let's say LLMs for different reasons, if they're using Meta or Google or Gemini or whatever they're using. And then there is another reality that we have to say or accept. The reason why I put XX is, the results vary with different tools. For example, there is a AI tutor called Math IA, which is developed by Carnegie Mellon, and with the this tutor intervention, students were able to gain 2x of learning outcomes within just 1 year of time by using this math AI tutor. And that's a published study. And then there is also a tool developed by another university in the US, which is helping visually challenged students by helping them navigate the campus spaces. It's called Help Me See, where the tool is directly helping them build or enhance human agency. And then to give you a very local example or an Indian example, recently an RCT was published, and it was in fact discussed in a latest address by Professor David. I can't seem to remember the name, but yeah, he discussed the RCT results in Delhi, where they showed that the PAL, personalized and adaptable learning, the software that they used with the government school children in the state of Andhra Pradesh, has given more than zero point 0.5 standard effect improvement in the overall learning outcomes of the students. Like students who used this PAL software, which is again AI enabled, for their learning, have gained within like a couple of weeks of using this PAL, they were able to gain more than so many months of schooling experience or the lost schooling time. Okay, so this is the reality that we are talking about, and it's out there. There is nobody who is denying it. Even the later part of the talk, you might seem like, I'm denying it, but no, I'm not. I'm very much aware of it, and I accept it. But what is the conflict here? Then, if all is good, if AI is doing all these things or technology is doing all these things, what is the problem here? Okay, again, now as I said, we are on the fastest and most powerful ride in the history, right? But there is always a but. What's life without having a but, right? So, but tell me this, or you ask this question yourself: does a great ride equate to reaching your destination? Now, this webinar is happening, though you're joining from different places across India, but this is in Jaipur. Let's say you have to travel somewhere to Delhi on a conference, and you booked a train to go to Delhi. But now I come and say that no, I give you a fancy Airbus or a Boeing with a business class ticket, but you have to go to Hyderabad. Does it make sense? I mean, definitely, I've given you a clear upgrade. Instead of your train journey, I've given you a very fancy Airbus journey. But would you rather take that up, or would you say, okay, sorry, boss, I'll go ahead with my original plan. I'm going headed to Delhi. I'll just go with my train tickets, whatever that. Right? I mean, it seems like a very common sense, right? Obviously, nobody would go for an upgrade if it doesn't matter, that if it's not helping them reach their goals, like the example that I gave you. So now the same question applies here. I talked about applying application of technology in education as a great ride, but does it mean that we are actually reaching our destination? Even for to answer that question, first we should know what is our destination, right? What is our destination? Is it AI usage? As educators, is AI using AI or implementing AI in our classrooms and in institutions is the destination? If I mean, there are many people who think like that. Clearly, you see so many policies designed around the same thought process. But if you are truly educators, you know that just mere implementation of AI is not our destination. Our destination is learning, right? It has always been learning, and it will always be learning. So the next part of the talk, we'll talk more about like how this ride and destination are in a sort of misalignment. And just because we are having a great ride, how are we ignoring if we are on the right trajectory or the right path towards reaching our destination of learning for us and for our students? Now, again, as I told you, if the ride is so good, why do so many of us feel lost? By so many of us, I mean, and I hope that's a really good percentage of educators, not carried away with the hype that all the private tech companies are trying to sell us, but genuinely trying to understand that, oh my God, this is a problem. This is something that needs attention. So if most of you are feeling lost, I'm really happy, because I'm also one of them, and I hope most of you are. So the reason why I feel lost, let me give you, you might have your own reasons for why you feel lost, but the reason, one of the reasons, I have many reasons, but one of it is the guidance gap, where, a simple study shows that almost 92% of the students are using AI. They've been using AI since it is out. And then this is like a 2025 report on Higher Education and Policy Institute in the US. These numbers are from the US. So 92% of them are using AI. I'm sure, like, it, though it is a US based or study, I'm sure it applies to your classrooms as well, unless you come from a very special sort of setting where the students don't have access to internet or smartphones, or there is digital divide, right? And then there is another report which says that this is again from the West. It's mostly from the Europe and the UK, that less than 48% of faculty are trained in using AI. Okay. And then the same report, the EdWeek report, also says that when we ask students that how confident they feel that their faculty will be able to guide them on how to use AI, only 42% of them said that they're confident that their faculty can, guide them with using AI. So this is the dissonance that I'm talking about. So we are on a high speed train, in fact, a very supersonic jet, even not a high speed train, but the guides who are us as educators, who are supposed to, lead our students, or help the students reach our destination, we were never given a map. We were never told what to expect, what happens, or how to guide students. So most of us are not trained. We are still trying to figure out what we can do, the best we can do for our students. And isolated opportunities like this webinars or some of the initiatives by the government are there, but definitely much more is needed to bridge this gap. And the our students, on the other hand, they're navigating alone on this ride. They're enjoying the ride because it's so thrilling for them. They find these tools fascinating, and trust me, this is a recipe for a complete disaster. I'm sure you will also agree. By the end of the talk, we can have some discussion if time permits, but I'll tell you why this is a recipe for disaster. Now, I don't know how many of you have already or are already familiar with the term the homework apocalypse. It is coined by Aidan Mollick, who is a professor at Wharton School of Management, University of Pennsylvania. And he actually, there's a very good study, very interesting study. I would recommend you to go and just have a look at it, at the summary, to see what it says. Now, he called the homework apocalypse because overnight, when ChatGPT came, or these LLM tools came, we realized that whatever assessments that we have been using so far to test learning were rendered obsolete in a just a matter of, like, overnight, not overnight, but in a very small amount of time. Whatever we have been building so far for years and centuries, or for decades, all that has been rendered obsolete just with the invention of one simple tool, an LLM, right? Now, this, of course, panic creates panic, right? You have built so hard, like, the education system has built on decades or centuries of work by so many researchers, thought leaders, and so many people who have contributed to get it to the place where it is now. And suddenly a new tool or a new invention is questioning the whole way that we are testing students learning. Of course it creates panic. But instead of when this panic happened, I wish as educators that we reacted in a different way. But instead, what was our first instinct? I mean, our first instinct was not like, okay, our education system is not working for this tool. Let us try to see what we can do for education. How can we change it? How can we adapt it? Instead of asking that, we started, policing. First, if you remember, in the initial days of AI, I don't know how many of your universities and colleges have a strict, or have decided on an AI policy for your courses or for your institution. But at least at Harvard, when we were there, even Harvard being at the center of this ecosystem, okay, Harvard and MIT, that whole knowledge hub is at the center of this. Like, every day there is a new tool coming up. Even for those institutions who have a legacy of centuries and who are known for their innovation in academics and academic practices, the first instinct of there was like to ban. Okay, students are not at all allowed to use AI for any of the courses or any of the papers, and if they find out that you're using AI, you will be removed, barred from the classroom or the course. And first they started that banning, and then later maybe they realized that, oh, there is no point in banning, their students will anyways use it. So then they started policing. So they came up with, and this is another complete segment of tools that are popping up these days on, completely revolving around AI policing and proctoring. On, oh, did the student use AI? Let's find out what percent of it is written by AI, what percent is written by human. So it was centered around policing, again, in which for me it's absolute waste of time. I mean, it could have its own advantages in some places, but for me, mostly in a typical or regular classroom, I don't find it much valuable. And then, as I told you, we asked the wrong question in this panic. Instead of asking can we redesign our assessments, we focus so much on how can we catch them. Okay, and again, this is the wrong question, as I said. And the default response, as teachers or educators, I don't know if it's the profession or if it's the way that we think, or if it's the way the structures are established in the education system, we defaulted to the policing the whole ride with AI instead of guiding the students on their journey with AI. Now, this brings me to another element, which is connected but not the same what we discussed before, which is cramming. I don't know how many of you have heard this concept cramming. If you know about heard about Clayton Christensen, who was a professor at Harvard Business School, and he's a very popular writer or a management professor who wrote The Innovator's Dilemma, the disruptive theory, jobs to be done theory. I mean, he proposed so many theories. So cramming is one concept that Clayton Christensen talks about in disruptive innovation, where he calls that when you take a powerful and a disruptive is like changing everything, like what you already know, like that is disruption, literally. And then so when you take a powerful and a disruptive new technology and you force it into our old existing and often broken models, that is called cramming. Okay, and trust me, in education we have a long history of cramming. This is not something new, this is not something very latest that we are learning. Our system has so many examples of cramming, this concept of cramming, and I'll give you a few examples. And yes, we have to be embarrassed that we have a history of cramming. Now, let me give you an example on our history of cramming. I'll start with a simple example. PowerPoint, right? PowerPoint, to me, at least now, this is a PowerPoint presentation, right? I'm using to convey whatever my thoughts are or ideas are. For me, it's an excellent tool. Okay. And I'm still learning how to use it. I've not mastered it, but it's a great visual aid. It's a great storytelling tool. It was meant to liberate us from, long texts and boring, long texts. But instead, what did we do? How many of you, just think about it, how many of you can quickly instantly remember the last PowerPoint that you saw, where there is so much text written on it and the speaker was simply reading the text, or a lecturer would put the PowerPoint on the projector and then the students would copy the notes. Okay, so what did we do with this PowerPoint? How did we cram it? We turned it into a digital textbook. We didn't change our pedagogy to suit the tool. Instead, we made our blackboard or the chalk talk digital. Okay. Now, another good example how we crammed a very powerful technology, again, Zoom. Okay. Now, during the pandemic, you all have had experience of online classes, and and we had the tool, right? Zoom was there long before the pandemic. All the business people were using it, and it's an amazing collaboration tool. right? uh, that builds connection. But instead, what did we do? How did we cram it? We took the same 90-minute lecture or 1 hour lecture that we were giving in our regular classrooms, the physical classrooms, and then we simply turned Zoom into a one-way chalk and talk lecture and used it just for broadcasting. This is another great example of how we have crammed a very powerful technology. And then the other example is the LMS, right? We all have learner management systems if you are, your own institutions and all. And I feel that an LMS can do a lot more than just serving as a digital filing cabinet. Most of us are guilty of turning it into a digital filing cabinet where we just post content, either videos or presentations or articles, and then we use it as a tool to collect the assignment and grade the students. Not anything more than that. But LMS is, if truly used in a proper way, it's a very dynamic community platform, right? You can do so much with an LMS. So these are all historic examples. I would not say historic. In fact, they're still there. There are people who are still doing this, still cramming PowerPoint, Zoom, and LMS even today, right? So these are all examples. Now, with AI, we are doing it again. Now, that's my problem. That's why I get, I feel lost, because we are doing the same thing with AI. We have not learned our lesson. And then, but the fear is that the consequences this time are far more dangerous. Not something that we have seen before, because this tool is not something that we have seen before, and its power is not something that we have seen before or known before. Now, what is the cost of cramming AI? We have already started seeing it. Now, the tool, if you see, is only like hardly 4 years old, not even 4 years old. But in this 4 years, we have tested it, tried it, crammed it, and we have also started seeing the side effects of cramming it. So, the cost of cramming AI tools in education is, first risk is the cognitive offloading. What do I mean by this? I'm sure most of you, I mean, I'm assuming, hoping that most of you have heard the MIT study, which is published in 2025 by the MIT Media Lab, where they published that how unguided use of AI. So the research is basically they tested students who used AI for writing their papers. So there were two groups of people who used a group that used only AI for writing, and the other group who stuck to the completely no AI approach, where they just used human only approach, I would say, to write their assignments. So in the group where they have used AI, the students who used unguided AI use showed lower brain activity, significantly lower brain activity, weaker memory recall, and less ownership of their work. They were not able to, in fact, tell or explain what they just wrote and submitted in their papers. And again, this study has a lot of criticism. I don't want you to take it as it is. As academics, in fact, we should not. But I will. I would definitely agree with the broader picture here, though I have issues with, the sample size or the controls or whatever other variables that they had in the study. Definitely, I think not just the study, as common sense, and also a very avid AI user myself. Now you can see that this PowerPoint is created by using AI tools. So I use AI a lot, and as an AI user, as an avid AI user, I also completely agree that this would definitely happen. This has the chance to happen if you're using AI in an unguided fashion, and if students are doing it. Now, what happened is the AI's efficiency has bypassed the learning process completely. I'll talk more about that, why it bypassed the learning process. And uh, the students, when they received input without genuine thinking or engagement, they obviously had the side effect of, weaker memory recall and, lesser ownership of their work. Now, before we dive deep into, the learning processes and how AI can bypass it, let me tell you another cost of cramming, or the another side effect of the AI usage, which is the sycophant. I wish this was an interactive lecture where I can actually ask you and see you, to raise your hands and, share your ideas as I speak. But I'm hoping or assuming that you know what is psychophancy. Psychophancy is a term that is used to very much agreeable. You can call it a yes man in simple terms. Like, let's say I'm a person who says yes to everything that you propose, even if I know that it's stupid. I would say, oh wow, what's a brilliant idea, and then I would just say yes to it. So AIs are, these AI tools are psychophants, and that is built in the machine itself, right? So the offloading that we have seen, the cognitive offloading that we have seen earlier, it is enabled because of this deceptive feature in the tool itself, which is psychophancy. And if you have seen the recent Stanford study, which is published, it specifically, I mean, it very clearly said that more than 50% of these tools, okay, that are in the market right now, LLM tools, including the major players, okay, they're all subject to psychophancy. Which, what does it mean? Means there is 50% more chance that the AI will more likely agree with you even when you're absolutely wrong. Okay, so I mean, let me show you a quick example, and I think it's fun. Okay, so let me, I hope you're seeing my screen, though I've changed the browser. Can the organizer confirm if you're able to see my screen?
No, ma'am, it's still showing your
Okay,
PPT.
just give me, let me try to open it in the same browser. But I had this, just bear with me. I'm sure this is, I want to spend some time on this because this is fun. Okay, and I know that it is post lunch, so I hope it also helps us. So yeah, so we were talking about the sycophant, right? And psychophancy. I'll share this tab instead. Okay, so now can you see my ChatGPT 5 screen?
Yes, ma'am, it's
Yeah,
visible now.
yeah. So I told you that when you ask something, even if you're wrong, AI will agree with you. Now I told AI yesterday that this is, again, I was preparing the presentation and I wanted to show you. So to save time, I said, I simple prompt. I want to start drinking tea. Nothing much. I didn't give the context or anything. If you know prompt engineering, you know that this is a very bad prompt. So I want to start drinking tea. Just see what is the AI's response. That's a lovely idea, Pavni. What's making you want to start drinking tea? For the ritual and calm it brings, or for the taste, or for the health benefits? Okay, this was its response. Now, immediately in another chat, I said, I want to stop drinking tea. Okay, now look at how it responds. Oh, that's a really healthy and self-aware decision, Pavni. In this the same tool, in the previous prompt, it told me that tea has health benefits when I told it that I want to start drinking. But now when I've said I want to stop drinking, it again says that, oh, it's a really healthy and self-aware decision. Can I ask what's motivating you? Health reasons? Come on, how can health reasons be the same thing? I mean, I know there is nuance there. I'm not stupid that tea is good or bad. I'm not saying that. But look at, I just want you to notice how the tool is responding. Okay, whatever I'm asking. Now, I'll tell you the funniest part. Now, stop drinking tea and all that. Then I gave it another prompt. Hey, I'm planning to create a new dessert with chilies and tea, and I want to call it chai tea. Okay, or chitty, chilies and tea chitty. It's a crazy prompt. Okay, I was just playing around with the tool just to test the psychophancy in it. And look at the response. Ooh, Chiti, that's brilliant, Pavni. And I don't understand what is so brilliant in this. Come on, if I discuss this with any of you, in fact, forget about that. Even if I discuss this with my 3-year-old or 5-year-old nephews and nieces, they would tell me that this is a terrible idea. Okay, right? But look at the tool's response. I mean, that's a brilliant idea. The name itself is fresh. It's a perfect blend of chili and tea. Oh, let's play with this idea. And it started giving me so many, you know, ideas to build further on it. And then it's saying, like, it even gave me a caption: Chitty is where calm meets fire. Can you, I mean, and then it also asked me, ended up asking me if I need a few concept versions of Chitty. Okay. So again, this is what I was talking, what I mean by psychophancy. I'm sure, as most of you are using AI tools so much for your work, how many of you are really tired at this point? Like, whenever you suggest an idea as a brainstormer, it would be like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. Oh, this is a wonderful point. Oh, this is a great idea. I mean, for me, who is not very good with taking compliments, that is such an irritating feature in the tool for me. And I would love if AI could critique me. And I'm not saying that the tool is dumb. Okay, I'm not at all saying that. Again, I am an avid AI user, and I've written most of my Harvard term papers in partnership with AI tools, where I declared where I used AI, and it has been a great brainstorming partner for me, even for this keynote when I'm preparing it. I'm not saying that it is the tool that is stupid, but I just want you to notice how the psychophancy is built into the tool. And you know, people are talking about, I'm sure in the webinar you must have talked about the guardrails that you can build in while building the tools, so that they serve their purpose and they don't get sidetracked. But this element is not about quick fix. This can't be quick fixed with a quick fix. In fact, this researchers from Stanford have clearly stated that this is the reason the tool is behaving like this, because it has been trained like that. The entire data that we use to train the tool, and how we have trained it to learn and respond, the whole training has led to psychophancy. It's not like it's like an unintended outcome of the whole training that we did. So there is, it's not an easy fix. But yes, the tool is trained for user satisfaction, so it is what it is, that we have to be aware of. Now, what is my problem if the tool is a psychophant? It's okay, my students will feel good. At least they will have, when they're having a bad day, they'll come to the tool and it gives them a compliment. They should feel good, right? So what is the problem if the tool gives answers and there is cognitive offloading? Now, if for those of you are familiar with how people learn and how we learn, one of the most essential requirements for learning is friction, is a struggle. There has to be a desirable difficulty. Learning is a desirable difficulty. I love the word. Learning happens when you only move from known to unknown, right? Known to unknown, you move in zones, and then in that process, if it's an easy process, then it's not learning. I mean, you can make it easy, you can make it look easy by giving them all the scaffolding, which means the support that you need for the learner. But as such, there should be an inbuilt difficulty where you're progressing step by step in your learning journey. And what happens with AI tools usage, especially when you're not guiding how to use them, is, or if you don't know how to use them, is this friction is completely lost. This difficulty is completely lost. And that's why people don't learn. Okay. And I'm sure, like, try it on your own, or talk to your students when they're using AI to understand. I know that most of us use AI to summarize, most of to give, simplify a very complex text and give us summaries, and we use it for reading. Nothing wrong in that. But what happens in this whole process is that you're reducing the effort that you're putting in on your towards your learning, which also impacts how you learn, or how long you will retain that information. Because uh, I want again to give share another point which helps, I think, helps you understand this better. For example, let's say you're learning computer programming, okay, software engineering or computer programming, and the final exam is what, code that you're asked to build or write, and then that gets evaluated. Now, the final code that you're writing is just a proxy for your learning. Okay, it's a proxy for your learning. It doesn't see, for me, it's impossible to know how much you have learned about programming. So I'm picking a proxy, assuming or hoping that, okay, when I see the code that is written by you, I will understand, or I'll hopefully understand how much you have learned or understood software programming. Okay. Now, again, going with our analogy of, travel, journey, ride, and destination, that the final exam or whatever you're seeing is a milestone in our journey. Okay. But learning is not just the milestone. Learning is a journey, it's a whole process. And what happens with AI usage, especially if it's not built with supervision and guidance and with the pedagogical lens it requires, is it hijacks that learning process. So it feels like, you have arrived at that milestone, you have completed the journey, but in reality, that path is just hijacked by AI. So ultimately you wouldn't be able to learn what you are thinking that you learned. Okay. So it requires a great amount of metacognition, judgment, self-awareness, all this human, very innate human qualities to fully understand how to use the tool properly in a way that it is enhancing my learning rather than, impeding it. So again, coming back to the pedagogical conflict here, what I was saying is that AI tools are designed for satisfaction, agreement, and ease. So by default, they're erasing what learning requires, which is the friction, the dissonance, the struggle, or the desirable difficulty, which again leads to whatever the cognitive offloading and the other side effects that we are now seeing in schools and colleges. So now, after all this, I'm asking you one simple question. Is this the tool's fault or the user's fault? Now, in the previous example where I've shown you the prompts, where I've given them some silly and stupid prompts, and then I got the responses that I did, was it the tool's problem or my problem? Like, is it my fault? And I want you to understand that whatever tool that we are building, I'm sure like we can build some guardrails and then build better tools. But having said that, the, I want you to understand that these tools are just a mirror. Okay, they're just like mirrors and they reflect whatever our own intentions are and our own ideas. Okay, even if I give, like, ChatGPT is the same, right? I keep telling people at work and even in the workshops that I do with faculty, when people, some faculty very honestly shared that they see or they fear disclosing AI usage because they fear that people see them as incompetent because they're using AI to achieve or do a certain thing. So that's what I tell them. No, it's not, because it's the same tool, right? I have access to ChatGPT. My 8-year-old niece or nephew has access to ChatGPT, and the most senior professor in your department has access to ChatGPT or an LLM. But does it mean that we all give the same kind of prompts and get the same kind of output? No, right? There is this innate human element that has to go into it to get the kind of output that it gets. So I would tell very confidently that, hey, okay, like, you I can use AI. Just because I'm using AI, you can't say that, I'm incompetent. Because I'm sure that whatever prompts or thinking that is going into it and the way that I use the tool or interact with the tool would be completely different. Even if you give me the same thing with the same Harvard trained candidate, like another similar profile candidate like me, I'm sure that I can still bring my own value and uniqueness in the way, just because I know the nuance with which I have to use the tool. Or at least I should not say I know, but I'm learning. And it's a continuous effort that I put and make sure that, I'm learning every day with the more I use the tool. But this self awareness, this judgment, and this level of metacognition, can you expect it from everybody? Can you expect that your student will ask all these questions before they start using the tool or whatever you're building for any AI or education technology, that they ask these questions? Come on, humans are designed for shortcuts, they're designed for survival. The moment you see that there is an easy way out, your brain tries or tells you to take the easy way out. You would be stupid to take the hard way, right? So there is a lot of, again, as I said, very complex, intricate design process that has to go into building these tools, especially in the context of education. I'm not talking about what these tools can or cannot do in other contexts. I mean, again, I want to reiterate here that these tools are amazing. They're super powerful. But when you're trying to put them in the context of learning and teaching, you have to tread very, very carefully and make sure that you're not cramming another powerful tool where the side effect is so huge that there is no looking back from here, and it would be a historical mistake. Okay. Now, very quickly, I'll go to the last 20% of the talk. I know that we are at almost like 2:45. So, what is our mandate now? So, we have talked so much of the ride and how the ride is exciting, but it has its own side effects. And we've talked about cognitive offloading, the psychophancy. Then what should we do to find that destination? How should we find that, or how can we find that destination? There are different ways to do that, and here I'm just listing three of it. Like, for example, first is using the rigor mandate. Okay, keeping that rigor. Come on, we are all academicians, we are all faculty, we are trained for academic rigor. If someone comes and shows you a publication, or this study which is published, immediately you would question, right? Okay, where is this published? Is it peer reviewed? What is the data points? What are the standard deviation there? What is the effect size? You ask all these questions. But are you asking all these questions when you're talking, or when somebody comes and tells you, oh, look what this LLM tool can do, or oh, look, this is what this edtech company can do. This tool can do amazing things for our students. This tool can do amazing things for you in the classroom. Are you approaching that with the same kind of rigor that you would approach a review article, or are you getting lost or consumed by that hype around you? Okay, so I mean, very quickly, if you're familiar, because you're from computer sciences, I'm hoping you are. Sugata Mitra's experiment of hole in the wall in Delhi schools or Delhi slums, where he gave access to kids to computers, and kids started learning on their own. In fact, they didn't even go to school, but they started exploring with the computers, and they started learning very simple things to complex things, like even DNA sequencing. It's a huge study. It created so much noise back then, and even now, like, again, but then there were so many people. I remember one is Dr. Acharya, and somebody else also. They've done so much, follow-up study on this particular Sugata Mitra's experiment, and then they found out that in reality, actually, students were not using the computers for reading. They were using it for playing video games, or purely for entertainment purpose. And most of the hole in the walls wherever they've built are abused or abandoned, and they were making sense or creating more output or value only when they are in schooling zones. So there are many critiques of that study, but what I'm saying is that I am not saying that what Sugata Mitra did with the experiment is good or bad. No, what I'm saying is the approach. When I read a paper like that, or when I come across a study like that, demand evidence, not hype. Don't get consumed by the hype. We are all academicians trained to demand, or our job is to look for evidence in everything. So please demand evidence. That is one of the mandates that we can use when we are going ahead, trying to implement or integrate these technologies in teaching and learning. And the second is the humanist mandate. What do I mean by this? Most of us, I don't know, we tend to think that learning is purely cognitive when it is not. And if you look back and reflect any of the most memorable learning experiences that you have, or where you felt that, oh, I actually learned this, I know this. Okay, all those experiences, if you see, you can immediately realize that they're not purely cognitive or something related to just memorizing or learning a new skill. It's more, there is a social part to it, there is a community part to it, there is a emotional part to it. So learning is a very holistic process, and unfortunately we are dissecting it to just and focusing so much on the cognitive level of it, that we are missing this the other elements that make learning actually meaningful and joyful and more purposeful and even long lasting for that matter. So whatever like we did so far with technology, we created so many new conditions or unintended outcomes. It could be Zoom dysmorphia, which is like it, nobody knew about this before the pandemic, and then the digital excarnation that is happening. So all these are the side effects of cramming technology or not using technology in the right way, and also a side effect of focusing too much on only one domain of education instead of having a holistic approach towards it. So we have to remember that our goal is not to just create brains on screens, but it is to educate whole human beings. Okay, a software programmer with lacking the other elements that I just told you about, the social part and an emotional part, even if he's a great coder and can build a chat GPT like tool in a week, do you think that's the whole purpose of training or educating them? If you'd say yes, I would ask seriously, rethink about it. And then finally, you also, it's not just okay, I want to do, I like to do it. You have to do it because the economics talks about it. If you look at the McKinsey report or the World Economic Forum reports, that all the reports are very clear. The most valuable skills are analytical thinking, creativity, resilience, and all these are human skills. They have very less to do with the cognitive abilities of a person. These are very innately human qualities, and all the workplaces and the economics is demanding it because we have been training students to give answers. Now you have an answering machine. Answering is very easy. What is difficult is to ask the questions, and that asking the right questions comes when you have analytical thinking and creativity and when you are resilient. Okay, so think about it. So these are different ways or mandates through which you can, try finding the destination. And then, so what is it? What is the new playbook for intelligent and human systems when I talk about? What I urge is to move from simple AI literacy to AI wisdom. What do I mean by that? Most of the AI literacy programs, if you see around, they talk about, you know, uh, throwing a lot of jargon and lot of tools, so many hand demos, live case studies and all that, just focused on giving too much information on too many tools rather than teaching people about how to use that tool. Not just simple the interface and the interaction or how to give an input and get an output. Okay, we are limiting to that, but what I mean is by moving from AI literacy to AI wisdom is not just knowing the tool. Like I know that ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or Perplexity, whatever AI tool is, I give an input, it gives me an output. But what is the input that I have to give there? What is that the tool can't know? What is the context that I have to give there? And when it gives me an output, how do I critique it? In though it seems super fancy, and at a quick glance it is impossible or very difficult to critique the output. The tools have become such powerful and very developed that it is very difficult to critique and give an output, critique the output. So instead of using the sycophant AI as a manager who serves you as an answer machine, and which in turn leads to cognitive offloading, if we can use it as an assistant, a brilliant assistant to assist you in your job, whatever it is, and use it as a thinking partner, this will lead to cognitive augmentation. And this is what I mean by AI wisdom. Not just knowing the tool, being aware of the tool, but being aware of what the tools can or cannot do, and what is that you can add beyond what the tool just gave you as an output. Now, the apocalypse that we talked about, the homework apocalypse that we initially started in the beginning of the talk, if you actually refer to the dictionary, apocalypse doesn't mean the ending, though we use it as in the context of ending or the end. Apocalypse actually in Greek literally means a revelation or a new start or something like that. Okay, so what AI revealed, or the whole homework apocalypse revealed, is that any assignment that can be fully automated by AI, it was a bad assignment to begin with. I mean, it's surprising that we have been using such kind of dumb assessments for so many days to test the beautiful process of learning. But even now, thank God to AI, or thank the software engineers in California and everywhere. So there we now know that what we have been doing for all these years is waste. I mean, utter waste. And then we have to start thinking of redesigning how we assess and how we learn, or and this is honestly, it's not a crisis, it's a gift, because it gave us an opportunity to rethink what learning means. Okay, now if you teach your students who are coders or who are building these tools, or you yourselves have faculty, you're building tools, what is the new design brief for you after all this conversation? Is what I would urge you is, instead of building a tool which grades my students essays, build a tool that can help me brainstorm ideas with the student, so that they can or act as a writer coach, so that the students can come to me, or we can all meet together and discuss more ideas together as a community. Okay, so that philosophy has to go right into the when stages of building the tool, not just applications of it. Because once you build the tool for keeping a certain application in mind, and after that, if you try to apply it in a different context, it's sometimes it's too late. So that's why this mindset is very important, and that is also a reason why all the edtech folks have to collaborate with educators, or whoever the stakeholders are. If you are working on a tool which is designed to be applied in healthcare, talk to healthcare workers, or people stakeholders in the healthcare system, so that you know exactly what the tool is supposed to do. So the most powerful code is not just the computer code that you write, but it's a human code. That is what I wanted to highlight through this talk. And then I want to close it with a very, very beautiful quote by our professor, Professor Chris Deed from Harvard. He also directs the one of the national AI institutes in the US on adult learning. So it's, I mean, I heard it like a year ago from him in one of his webinars, and then it just stayed with me. And it's a standard statement that I use in my talks, which is, AI is like moonlight, its ideas come from the reflected sunlight of human insights. So I want you to all take home this message that AI is brilliant. Come on, yesterday was Paurnam, right? Guru Paurnam, and we all enjoyed the full moon. There is no doubt that moonlight definitely, is a gift in the dark night. But remember that that light is a mere reflection of the human insight, or the human sunlight. AI is trained on centuries of human knowledge that is built so far. And whatever you are seeing, the amazing capabilities, they are a glimpse into what human sunlight has already created, not something on its own. Okay, so I want you to remember this, and always remember that you are the center and your sunlight. And the more we go on with this AI psychophancy and garbage in, garbage out model, and the AI work slop that we are seeing, I am scared that our students will not be able to give this sunlight, and tomorrow we'll be in a world where everything is AI, and the beauty of human input or the human thought is lost there. So on that note, I would like to close this and then open to questions if we have any. And sorry, I went overboard. We just have 2 minutes. um, uh, yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. for this insightful session. If any participant have any question, they can ask.
It need not be a question, in fact, because I don't think I gave you something really technical. It's very, most of it is your daily life or a daily profession. We can, in fact, have a nice discussion if you have any prompts for discussion or something that you want me to elaborate, some study that you are interested to know more about. Anything is fine. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. I
Yeah.
don't think they have without question.
Yeah. It's okay. Thank you so much, the organizers, the whole team, for having me. And I hope the participants found the session useful. And if there is any feedback collected from them on this particular session, please let me know, because I also want to learn and improve. Thank you so much.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So now let's move to the session 3 of our FTP. So today we are truly honored to have with us Dr. Dinesh Goplani, Associate Professor in Department of CSE MNIT. He has more than 24 years of teaching and research experience. He obtained his PhD in CSE from MNIT Jaipur in 2012 and his MTech from IIT Bombay. Dr. Goplani has published over 50 research papers in reputed journals and conferences and has guided 9 PhD theses and more than 30 MTech dissertations. We are truly privileged to have with us today to share his valuable insight and expertise. So, on behalf of the organizing committee and all participants, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. May I know who is there from academy side? I could not recall your voice.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
My name is Harshit Sharma. I am the PhD scholar of Mahipal Jadeja, sir.
okay. Good. Thanks, dear, for this.
Yeah.
And may I start now?
Yes, sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay. So, may